Makima looked outside of the window of the train that she was on, heading straight for Kyoto. The train was mostly empty, save for a few passerbys who were sitting randomly all around them, her and her assistant respectfully. The two of them going over a few dossiers on the report from the last mission from the newly created task force. A task force that was still without a name. But for Miss Makima, the only thing she really cared about was Denji. How did he perform? How did he do out in the field in a rather high-stakes situation? From what the report says, he was able to go one-on-one with the Eternity Devil, and he was able to defeat it. However, based on this report, it didn't seem like he defeated it with any real skill or merit. He just kept hacking and sawing away until the thing finally decided to give up. I see. So it seems our boy has a lot of stamina. Indeed. And he has little brains to go with it. He's highly untrained, uncoordinated, has no real skill or merit to speak of. He's more of a brawler than anything else. Unorthodox, able to think on the fly. That can be useful in battle, but still, you're not going to make it very far in this line of work just trying to get by on raw skill with little talent to go along with it. But he has to have some talent. He wouldn't have made it as far as he was if he didn't. Keep in mind, he's been hunting devils roguely for a good couple of years now, and that was before he made a bond with this chainsaw devil. That meant that he had to work using nothing but his own natural strength, and from what he's told me, he didn't gain any superhuman powers from his father, oddly enough. That is odd. Even if it were his worsening cancer-like virus, he should have at least gotten the regen powers of his late father, or any of the superhuman abilities that come along with it. Yet it seems prior to becoming a devil hybrid, Denji had none of these factors at all, which was crudely tested when he had a few of his organs forcibly removed. The goons that took them thinking that they would grow back. Well, I still like to wait and see. You never know what he might do next. But tell me, how's the next stage of our task force coming along? Have you found other recruits? We found a few of them, a few stragglers from the old days. Maybe they'd be willing to come to our side for the right price or with the right convincing. There's one in the Soviet Union. He's a mutant. Has a rather particular ability that could be quite helpful. He has the ability to turn his entire body, his skin, into metal. Makes him pretty resistant, hard to kill. Is that the one from that American task force? The one known as the X-Men? Yes. As you know, ever since the rise of the mutant devil onslaught, the task force that was known as the X-Men have been, well, for the most part, disbanded. Most of the mutants were killed during the purge, and the few stragglers that have managed to survive have gone into hiding all around the world. Finding a mutant these days outside of Genosha is rather rare, but still, he was able to return back to his homeland where he's been retired and settled in peaceably, living on a farm with his sister. And what do you think it would take for him to join? Well, his sister's a good thumbscrew, but still he's a proud and resilient man. So you'd be wise not to get on his bad side, although I don't think it'd be a problem for the likes of you. I agree. What about the other one? The Wolverine? Word is he died along with all the other heroes. And if he is still alive, he's entirely hard to track, and I doubt he'd come willingly. Also, he's one of those few that's really hard to put down. Very aggressive. But we'll still keep an eye out for him. As for everyone else that you had listed out, a lot of them are unconfirmed. Some are mostly considered to be dead, some are in hiding, and others, well, they're simply MIA. We'll keep a lookout, but still, As more time passes, it's all the more unlikely that we'll find any of them. Well, it appears that it can't be helped. But still, I like to have a good collection of talent. A sled can't be pulled by just one dog. Yes, Miss Makima, I understand. But still, I must advise, it's rather dangerous what you're doing. We're in a very different world now than what we used to live in. A new arms race is starting to begin, and it's not about just collecting bombs and weapons. It's about collecting devils. You aren't the only one who's interested in metahumans, mutants, devils, fiends, and all other likes. I just hope that you're very careful about the decisions that you make. I'm always very careful. No need to worry. Everything will go as I wish in time. We will create a true world of peace, and I will personally see to that. The train would continue to move at its leisure pace until eventually passing through a tunnel. In the darkness, it seemed as though nothing was happening at all. Before returning to the light, every man in the car, save for Makima and her handler, were standing, pistols drawn, all their guns sighted on them. Shots would fire all throughout the cart. And at the time they pulled into the next station, there was nothing but the blood of Makima and her assistant sprayed all over the seats. In the meantime, Denji was at a cafe with Aki, Himeno, and Power. They were going out for lunch, and Denji, as always, was pestering Aki to no end. The two had had a conversation earlier, Denji and Himeno respectively. The two agreeing to a new form of friendship. For Denji, he wanted help with getting with Miss Makima, and for Himeno, she wanted to get with Aki. Deep down, she knew that was the person she wanted to be with, the only person that made her feel anything at all, anything in this grueling, lonesome world. The fact that you could still find someone that made you feel that way, well, that was pretty rare. You see, the idea of love, marriage, having a normal life, well, all of that went out the window when the world went to pot. When you live in a world where at any given moment some random devil, fiend, or some other horrific Lovecraftian being could just show up out of nowhere and massacre you and everyone you love in an instant, the idea of finding it was a lot harder. Some still managed to. Some hung on to the old ways. Others became cynical. Others gave up. A lot of strange and unfamiliars began to take form in this world. It was hard to describe. Trying to find that certain someone, trying to find that certain thing in this world to make you whole, to find a reason to make life worth living. That was the true struggle in and of itself. Denji could attest to that. Before joining the Devil Hunting Task Force, before meeting Miss Makima, he was nothing but a boy with dreams. Dreams and an unfamiliar past. But now, as life continued, things got more clear. Slowly but surely, Denji found more and more reasons to want to live. More and more reasons of things he wanted to do with his life. He thought about that day when he and Pochita made that promise. The promise that if he died, Pochita could just take his body and do whatever he wanted, to live his own life. For Denji, when he made that deal, he genuinely didn't expect himself to live very long. He always imagined that deep down, the Yakuza would finally get tired of him and either cross him or kill him, which they tried to do. Or he'd go and fighting some devil and the devil would finally get lucky and take him out. Or he'd die of some sickness or disease he managed to concoct at some point along the way. There was just no telling what could have happened to him. And yet when he found himself at death's door, he didn't bargain, he didn't plead, he didn't ask for more time or anything of that nature. No, Instead, he was content. He felt like his life wasn't worth living anymore, so there was nothing really worth fighting for. But now he felt different. With this new life of his, it was something that he didn't want to waste, something he didn't want to lose. He was all the more determined to keep hold of it. He wanted to see things through. He wanted to explore and experience all the things he thought he'd never get the chance to. Not just the fantasies of being with the woman he wanted or the foods he wanted to eat. No, he wanted to do regular stuff. Go to school, get a job, have miscellaneous adventures, anything, everything. He wanted to experience the world. He felt like he finally had a chance to truly live. And it was the opportunity of a lifetime. An opportunity he wasn't going to pass up. Yukio would finally arrive as well, she arriving from the task force office, having had to go on a last-minute mission, but was now ready to join the group for their afternoon lunch. As they were eating about their food and carrying on in conversation, something odd would happen. A van pulled right across the street from the restaurant. A man in a trench coat who looked as though he mourned a terrible loss. A woman standing by his side, who he addressed as Akane. A couple of men behind him held up their guns and opened fire. By the time Denji saw what was happening, a bullet had lodged itself right into his skull. Everyone else taking cover and fending for their lives as the gunfire would continue. The man in question, the man in the trench coat, would walk his way inside as Denji was slowly healing and getting back to his feet. You. Denji. Huh? Do I know you? No, you don't know me. But you're about to know me. You killed my grandfather. You killed a kind and honest man. It's time for you to pay for your sins. I'm sorry, what? Before Denji even had a chance to defend himself, his body was riddled with more bullets as the goons tried to take Denji away. However, he would manage to fight them off. Unfortunately, he wasn't in his proper uniform, because after all, who's going to walk around in a superhero costume 24/7? No, he left it at the house. He figured he'd go back home and change soon enough. For now, he was in regular black pants, a button-up shirt, and a tie. Something that's rather iconic for some people in this world. Look, I don't know what the hell's going on here. Hey, boss. Yes, Denji? Who exactly is this guy? Grandfather? And when did I kill him? He's the old man from part 1. Old man from part 1. Wait, you mean old man Yakuza? Yeah. Wait, was that even his name? I don't know. A lot of these guys don't have names. This guy doesn't even have a name. Oh wait, he doesn't have a name? Hey yo, you don't have a name? I do have a name. What's your name? It's Francis. What kind of a shitty name is that? Francis? First you kill my beloved grandfather. Then you make fun of my name? That was the name he gave to my mother to give me on my birth. Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm so scared of Francis. You are a deplorable human being, Denji. Deplorable? Your grandfather was an old bastard, a part of the Yakuza, who was trying to make me pay for something that my father did. It's not my fault he didn't pay up. That's not the point. It's the principle of the whole thing. There are principles in this, Denji. Does no one care about the principles? No. He asked if I care about the principles. Look, pal, I'm going to give you one chance to walk away from all of this. Because you see, I was enjoying a hell of a good double cheeseburger before you chose to interfere. And I don't like to have my food go to waste or filled with casings. So, here's what's gonna happen. Francis, you're gonna turn around, you're gonna walk your bitch ass back to wherever you came from, and I'm never gonna see you again. Otherwise, I'm gonna take this chainsaw, and then I'm gonna... Before Denji even had a chance to pull the ripcord, his hand was cut off. Francis had transformed. He looked similar to Denji, but kind of different. Instead of having chainsaws jutting out of his forearm, he had katana blades, as well as another one jutting out the center of his forehead. He was a devil hybrid also, the Katana Devil. Aki and the others would arrive, attempting to be backup. Power would give Denji some blood in order to heal himself and to get his arm reattached. Yuiko and Aki would attempt to battle against the Katana Devil, which was a lot easier said than done. The 2-on-1 fight, as both Yukio and Aki, both of them using their respective blades, would battle against the likes of the Katana Devil. Although Aki's blade wasn't like a regular sword, it looked like more of a needle than anything else. Himeno didn't like him using that damn sword. She always knew why he kept it, and she knew why he needed it. But still, now wasn't the time for him to use that damn thing. But he refused to pick up a regular sword. "What's the matter?" Denji asked. "He seems to be holding his own just fine." "That's not the point. That sword is cursed. It's a part of the Cursed Devil." "The Cursed Devil?" "It curses anyone it stabs to death. However, it comes at the cost of the user's life every time he uses it." Denji could remember that Aki had used that sword a few times. Why the hell would he carry something like that? Isn't it obvious? He wants revenge on the Gun Devil. He believes that sword would be the best way to take it down. The only problem is that he can only use it but so many times, and he's wasting it on a fight like this. Yukio would give Aki an opening, holding off both of his forearm blades, ducking at the last second as he swung his head around, bringing the blade close to her neck. However, with his arms spread open, it gave him enough time for Aki to go through, ramming him through the chest with his cursed blade. That was probably the last time he'd be able to use it. There was a part of him that thought that it was a waste. Why had he done it? Why waste something so precious on a fight like this? Against this guy? But still, it seemed like the fight was over. They could now bring him and his allies in. However, the woman known as Akane, she watched as one of her fingernails would leave her finger. In an instant, a being known as the Snake Devil would appear, attacking at both Aki and Yukio, with Aki being gravely damaged. Without question, Himeno attempted to use her power of the Ghost Devil to fend off against the snake. But still, it wasn't strong enough, not on its own. That's when Himeno decided. She decided that now was the best time. She would reach out to the Ghost Devil. She always knew that something like this would potentially happen. She just never thought it would be today. When you become a devil hunter, they say that the worst thing that can happen is that you die with regrets. You die with things left undone, things left unsaid. For Himeno, she never really thought of herself as a hero, more or less a good person. She was just a woman doing a job. She remembered how her and Aki first met. It happened when she was telling a woman that her former partner, her fiance, had died in the line of duty. Himeno remembered getting slapped in the face by the woman who blamed her for her fiancé's demise. But that was just what came with the territory. No devil hunter had the illusions of living a long, prosperous life. Very few ever got the chance to, and those were the exception to the rule. Being a devil hunter was considered a young man's game, and the only ones you were truly fearful of were the old men who managed to survive it. No, you don't come in with the glorious ideas of killing all the devils. You don't come in with the idea of thinking you're really going to change the world. When you become a devil hunter, chances are you'll get a few weapons, a few meager power-ups, although who knows how much it'll cost you. You'll have a couple of fights. You might win a few. But ultimately, the game always ends the same. It ends with you lying on the ground, dead, ripped apart, burnt, slashed, incinerated, or sometimes a simple bullet to the skull. Today was proving to be one of those days. Whoever this katana devil man, this Francis was, this attack was not random. Devil hunters all across Japan were being hunted, being killed simultaneously all across the country. As for Denji and his dun 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 dun. Wait, what the hell? Who is making that dun 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 dun? Denji and his crew find themselves under attack by this mysterious bastard known as Francis, aka the Katana Devil. What does this mean for Denji and his crew? As Himeno attempts to help Aki, who is now on his last legs, having used up all the power of the Cursed Devil's technique in the Cursed Blade. Miss Makima is now left for dead on a train heading straight for Kyoto, and devil hunters all around are getting dropped like flies. What's Denji's next move going to be? Will he be able to overcome yet a new threat from his past, his father's past? And what will be on the menu for dinner tonight? For all this and more, stay tuned for the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Wrong show, dumbass! This concludes Chainsaw Man, Son of Deadpool, What If Denji Was Deadpool, Season 1, Part 6. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that's come out now and in the future. And stay tuned tomorrow as we continue with What If Denji Was Deadpool, Season 1, Part 7. But that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.